What's good, family? So mash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell. So, your man's TYSON, oh, scary, has essentially half reacted to Anthony Joshua's loss alongside his number one shield-ons, the MTK cabal, MTK cartel. Yeah, so MTK Cartel Global put a tweet out minutes after AJ lost and said the following: Tyson Fury and still the best heavyweight on the planet. Now it's important to note, like I said, this came out moments after AJ's loss. This wasn't a case of, oh, YB, MTK just doing promotional content. No, this was literally in reaction to AJ losing. And Fury could have left it, Fury could have ignored it, but in true Fury style, I can't even blame him, to be fair. I'll probably be doing the same. Either way, Fury, as you can see here, reposted it onto his Instagram and his socials. So, I mean, like I said, this isn't a proper reaction as such, but it's half a reaction, that's for sure. And I actually think what Fury's doing here, in as much as the fact he hasn't spoke out, I think this for me is almost like a bit of a stunt, if that makes sense. Normally, we hear Fury coming out immediately and jumping out straight on it. I think the fact he's taking some time, it's almost, again, like I said, I think it's, for me, it's like a bit of a big man stunt. You know what? I'm so much the best. I'm so much above this. I don't even need to comment on it right now. I'll comment on it when the champ feels like commenting on it. If that makes sense. Why am I going to comment on a dude who ain't got no belts? Who just got schooled by a cruiserweight? That's how I think Fury's looking at it. And to be honest with you, what can I say? What can we say? I didn't see one point in that fight here with AJ where he said, you know what, people? My fans, the YB who's been shilling about I'm the best fighter this, best fighter that. All of my fans who have been out here. You know what I'm saying? Us man aren't rich. I don't care what no one says. AJ's sorted. His whole bloodline sorted for 20 generations. He's nice. Us man, we're down bad. The least he could have done, yeah, he said, you know what, people? I'm down bad. Let me just stick it on USYK for a few rounds. Just a few. Let me just dig a little bit deep. There was no digging. Yeah? I heard AJ in the post-fight, or in some post-fight interview saying, oh, I love the 12th round. I love the 12th round going back and forth. You love the 12th round? Me? I couldn't watch the 12th round. Back and forth? Where was the back and forth? You was on the ropes, getting worked by a cruiserweight who can't punch. About you love the back and forth. There weren't no back and forth. For example, for me, yeah, back and forth would be Dillian White fight. That you could argue, yeah, AJ was getting the better of it, but still, that was back and forth. Even if you want to think of a more neutral example, if you look at the Takam fight, that Takam fight was back and forth. This USYK fight really wasn't back and forth, especially when you consider the fact that you was meant to be the big bad boss. If that makes sense. At least with these other dons, Dillian White, he was a top 3 bona fide heavyweight, and Takam was a big heavyweight. And I find it hilarious now after the fight, yeah, all of a sudden everyone's changed up. Oh, cruiserweights can punch, and USYK's dispelled the myth that that weight matters. No, he hasn't dispelled the myth. Yeah, let's not make out that AJ was in there and doing the most and USYK still schooled him. Don't get me wrong. If that had been the case, yeah, if AJ had given us at least, I'm not asking for, you know what, in reality, we should have got 12 rounds of work. I'm sitting here saying AJ could have given us a few rounds. We should have got 12 rounds. That's what you sign up for. I get the feeling that AJ treats this like a bit like a training session. Oh, yeah, I can't wait to go back into camp. I think AJ's turning a bit into a gym fighter. Oh, or a train. I've been to a pretty high level in sport, yeah. And there's some people who thrive under the lights. They love competing. They love getting stuck in. They add value, or they can perform above themselves in competition. You've got other people who they put their best work in the gym, and then under the lights they never get to that height. And then you've got a special type of person who literally goes over and over and above. Like, in a way, I give Fury credit to an extent. Fury, when he peeled himself off the canvas, that would be going over and over above. In this fight with AJ, and to be fair to AJ used to be that guy. He used to show us that in his earlier fights, in the Klitschko fight. He got licked down, got up, and went to work, even though he was gassed as well. This fight, where was that? Where? In fact, for the last few fights, where has any of that been? We saw him taking 5 rounds off against Pulev. And I'm sorry, I critiqued all these things at the time, and people said, "Oh, you're being a hater." It's nothing to do with being a hater. This is what happens, you see, when you allow foolishness, and when you allow wrong things to carry on, they add up and add up and add up. Next thing you know, you're getting schooled and whooped around the ring and leaning and hanging on the ropes by a cruiserweight. That's how it happens. These things don't happen in isolation. I've got people telling me, "Oh, YB, you know, everyone loses. Lennox Lewis lost twice." Get serious, people. What's wrong with you? Get serious. Lennox Lewis got caught twice. If AJ had been caught, yeah, it would have been bad, but you know, getting caught is getting caught with one clean shot. Well, what can you say? It's heavyweight boxing. This wasn't getting caught. This was being schooled for 12 rounds and not doing nothing about it. Not once did AJ dig deep for any, not for him, not for himself, not for his fans, not for no one. And not one point did he say, "You know what, people, I'm down, or I'm, you know what I'm saying, I'm not sure I'm winning this fight." And yeah, we can blame his team. His team were pants. His team didn't say nothing about it. You need these last 4 rounds. And that's what I rate. Like, for example, look at Gervonta Tank Davis. Look at Floyd Mayweather. Floyd wasn't even, we weren't even 100% sure Tank was losing the fight. But either way, Floyd Mayweather said to Tank, you need a KO, just to be sure. And AJ, in my opinion, is that kind of fighter, similar to Tank. You should be able to tell AJ, you need a KO. I mean, I'm not being funny, if you can't tell AJ that, if you can't tell someone with the heavy hands AJ has, if you can't tell him you need a KO, who can you tell that? You know what I'm saying? Given how lackluster and average the performance was, the bare minimum his team should have told him 5 rounds to go, AJ, you need a KO. At least tell him that. If he wants to carry on fanning around, and so be it. And the whole lot of it is, even the post-fight, it stank of lacklusterness. "Oh yeah, it was a great experience. Oh, I'm so really happy for the experience. I can't wait to go back to training. And I'm not going to be unhappy. And I'm taking pictures with USYK in the changing room, all happy and smiley. And oh yeah, I'm not going to do this." Well, I bet you're smiling. Yeah, you're $50 million richer, so yeah, I'll be smiling too. But is that what it's about? Is it a case of that where you just want to turn up and? That's how it feels like. That's what it looked like. In fact, it looked like a bit of a, "Well, you know what, guys, I'm robbing the bank here." And I think even AJ himself even said something about a gravy train. "Yeah, I can't wait to get back on the gravy train." I thought, wow. And that's how it felt, to be honest with you. It felt like that performance, yeah. And to be honest, the last few performances, he got away with it against Pulev, 40-year-old, no good. As I said before, Pulev stood there and couldn't wait to be chinned. And it still took it 10 rounds. But that performance against USYK looked like a bit of a gravy train performance. You know what, people? If I can knock someone over, if they'll stand in front of me and I can knock them over, I'll do that. If not, I'll just go for the motions. There was no grit. There was no oomph. There was no shame. And like people, I remember back in the day, yeah, when AJ used to get hit, he'd come back. Now this time, he was getting hit, yeah, and he was sticking his tongue out, but there weren't no follow through. Like even in the 12th round, he was on the ropes, yeah. And you know what fighters are like? When they get hit, yeah, they pull faces as if to say, "I'm still here." But it's no good pulling a face and then not coming back. AJ was doing all the right face movements, saying he didn't hurt me and whatever else, but there was nothing coming back. I was waiting for that oomph to say, "You know what? Who is this? Who does this dude think he is?" So, F the faces. The faces are cool when you come back. It's no good pulling faces and being on the ropes, hanging on for dear life. So yeah, back to this post from Fury. What can we say here, people? I'm not going to be a shill. I'm not going to be a super fangirl and sit here and tell you that, "Oh, AJ's the best thing ever." Yeah, I can't. How can I do that? How can I do that today? How can I do it? I sat there and gassed it up before the fight, yeah. And the thing is, not only did I gas it up, it affects my credibility. I'm not saying, "Oh, I'm only a YouTuber anyway," but I'm saying, even so, it affects my credibility, number one, because I was never someone who just talks rubbish. I'm not rich, yeah, but I put some change on it still. Because I've always felt like, I've always feel, if you say something, yeah, you shouldn't just be one of them dudes who talk and then don't put no money up. Put your money up. Put your coins in. If you believe it. And I believed it. My coins went in. 100%. And I talked it as well. I don't believe no one had the passion and the belief I had in AJ. And I'm looking super duper silly right now. Because for me, it don't even come down to technique. Me and a lot of AJ fans, yeah, we would have been happy for him to lose. And I've said, how many times I've said this to you, man? I said to you, man, listen. If AJ loses, going in there and giving it his best, that's all we can ask for. If I see someone trying and they lose, who can argue with that? I didn't see no real trying. I saw him go. It looked like a training performance to me, like a sparring session. Looked like it was, yeah, I'll take it or leave it. I mean, if he's going to fall over, he'll fall over. If he don't, he won't. There was no pushing. Did you, man, tell me? Did you see at any point AJ pushing trying to make something work, trying to make his own luck? I didn't see not once did I see AJ really trying to make his own luck, trying to swing the fight. Because even in them 6th and 7th rounds, when I was getting excited, really, that was because USYK started looking tired. USYK started looking slow. It wasn't really because AJ was hopping on him. That was USYK looking bad, not AJ making it so, if that makes sense. USYK started backing off and giving bad body language, which made me think, oh yeah, it's gonna happen, it's turning now. But AJ didn't jump on it. The next thing you know, the last 4 rounds, AJ's the one hanging on by a thread. So like I was saying, you got Team Fury here laughing and joking up, and I will give, well, I feel in two worlds about this, in as much as I was about to say I will give AJ credit for taking tough fights and not running around, but you know what, as a fan, yeah, what can I say? If you're going to turn up and not be indifferent, I'd rather you hang back. Truthfully, as a fan, because what have we got? As AJ fans, what have we got now? Oh, but at least he fights the best. Well, fighting the best and being nonchalant about it, and not being too fussed either way. I'd rather you hang back and turn up. Because one thing I have to say about Fury, yeah, and yeah, I guess that's not even fair, because I guess he has crap fights as well. To be fair, he does have crap fights as well. But then again, equally, the difference here is I don't hold Fury on that pedestal. Fury ain't a super athlete. Fury's got boobs on his back. So, what is this? Are we talking about a once-in-a-generation athlete or not? If we're not, then it makes sense why we're sitting here today. If we are, then I've got every right to be saying what I'm saying now. And be frustrated. And be naffed off. Because throw all the other stuff out the window. Yeah? Everyone told him, Bellew, Chisora, people around him, everyone really apart from his yes man team, told him, do not try and box this dude. But for some reason, ever since Tony Sims left the camp here, ever since around 2018, AJ's had this fascination with trying to prove a point. Oh, I'm a boxer. Oh, I want to prove I can box. Oh, Floyd Mayweather. I hate to break it to you, boss man. You've now, and I can't even lie. Before this fight happened, yeah, I said, I believed, even in a boxing match, AJ would beat USYK. AJ would beat Fury. I believed that because of his elite athleticism, I thought that'd get him through. I thought he'd be quicker than these dudes. I thought he'd make it happen. Basically, I bet, and my argument was I would bet on AJ's athleticism and his oomph over any of these so-called boxers. Well, we've now found out that's gone up in smoke. And part of the reason why I believed AJ would never lose against these dons is because I thought, you know what? Let's say AJ's losing after 6 rounds, yeah? I know, or I believed at the time, if AJ's losing against USYK after 6 rounds, I knew he's going to say, you know what, F this. Let me get stuck in. What gave me that impression was the Klitschko fight. If you watch the first 4 rounds of the Klitschko fight, yeah, he's not doing much. And it's looking about 50-50. After 4 rounds, AJ goes, it's almost like he throws caution to the wind. It's almost like someone in his corner told him, AJ, you're going 50-50 here. You know what I'm saying? You need to step it up now. Put it on him. All of a sudden, watch it. All of a sudden, in the 5th round, he comes out like a train. And that, essentially, puts the writing on the wall. It went from a 50-50 fight to AJ's favour. Now, of course, I mean, this was 4 or 5 years ago. 5 years later, he should be able to do the same thing, but now with more conditioning, now with more finesse, Not putting all your life into 50 shots. Putting consistent 3-punch combinations together, 2-punch combinations together, aggressive ones. But where was that? Where was that period in time? Where was that click button, yeah? That AJ switched on in the last half of the fight to swing it in his favour. I didn't see him throw any hooks or uppercuts the whole fight. I think he threw 2 uppercuts to the body once, and that was literally about it. Didn't see no inside shots. And we know for a fact, AJ's edge, in my opinion, was the inside shots. Was the inside work. He has to, in these kind of fights against boxers, Fury and USYK, if he's not getting hooks and uppercuts off, at best, it's 50-50. And we've now proven it's not 50-50. At mid and long range, AJ, we're getting schooled. Facts. It's over now. That myth of, I'm a boxer, and it's over. Forget about it. And what worries me is the most, is the fact that I'm hearing things from people around AJ that, we're going to double down. We're going to prove we can do it. People don't believe in us. People don't believe we can box now. We're going to prove. That's what I'm hearing. No word of a lie. I'm hearing now. AJ and his team are basically saying, we're going to prove we can beat USYK at boxing. People think we can't do it now. We're going to prove them wrong. Rather than saying, you know what? Yeah, that was a crap strategy. Let's get to a new one. They're now saying, we're going to outthink the thinker. We're going to double down. Because I don't know about you, man, yet. I haven't heard nothing out from AJ's team that said, yeah, we made a mistake. You know what, guys? We effed up here with a strategy. We're down bad. But don't worry, we know we was down bad, super bad. Because if it was me, if I'm in that situation, I'm coming out and saying, listen, people, truth is, fans, I'm down bad right now. I messed up. We went with the opposite plan. We was told by Chisora, we was told by Bellew, we was told by everyone to fight a certain way. We thought we'd give it a go with the boxing thing. We thought for the first fight, knowing we had a rematch clause, we thought we're gonna see if we are good enough to outbox USYK. But now we know we're not. So now we're gonna go back to the true game plan of getting stuck in there. We haven't heard nothing like that. I've heard things like, yeah, well, that first 12 rounds was good. Now we just need to keep pushing it on. Yeah. Now we just need to carry on with the game. What was he saying? Now we need to... Something like, yeah, now we need to carry on with the process. And, no. I mean, Russell Crowe, I forgot the guy's name, but the Russell Crowe, the one that hangs around with Fury, he said to Rob McCracken, what went wrong? Are you going to go back to the drawing board? Rob McCracken went, what drawing board? There ain't no drawing board. We just need to follow the process. Seriously, Rob McCracken snapped at him for talking about a drawing board. As if it was marginal. And that's all I've heard. All I've heard out of AJ's team yet is as if this was some marginal thing where it was nip and tuck and it could have gone either way. And it was one of them ones where you only need to make... This was fundamental. This was night and day. This was black and white. No doubt about that. Absolute black and white. But I haven't heard not from one person have I heard any urgency. And it's what I'm saying when I talk about Rob McCracken as a trainer, yeah? AJ's performing now. AJ's whole vibe is literally Rob McCracken. The bottom line. You've seen how it's actually quite scary to see how AJ's whole nature and not even just nature now, even his technique has become Rob McCracken like. In as much as his jab now really slow, his right hand really slow. Literally you'd think, his mentality has become a bit more moist. That's where you'd think it would affect him, but at the micro level, all them years of hearing Rob say, that's it AJ, nice and slow on the jab, nice and slow, that's it AJ, nice and slow, keep it nice and calm, all that talking got into his head and he's turned into it. And I've been chronicling the transformation ever since 2018 when, what's his name left, Tony Sims left, and it's got worse and worse and worse, and now we are where we are. AJ before had a beautiful crisp jab. I even used to... And yeah, you can say I'm probably a shill, but whatever. In AJ's prime, in the Parker fight, AJ's jab wasn't far off Lennox Lewis's, in my opinion. When he was doubling it up and snapping it. I mean, look at the Charles Martin fight. Look at that right hand. He caught Charles Martin, and I'm not saying Charles Martin's the best fighter ever, but either way, he caught Charles Martin, who's a pretty solid technical fighter. Caught him twice with the same shot, because it was so sharp and snapping. Did you see any sharp snapping right hands? Every time AJ threw a right hand, I saw it coming, I thought, what's going on? It almost felt like he was dummying it, like he was trying to lure him into something. You know what, I'm going to I'm gonna feint a right hand and then come with a sharp snap one. But every time he threw it, he pushed it. I saw it coming about 10 miles off. So yeah, circling back to this Fury thing here. What can we say, people? Yeah, Fury ain't fought the best people, but he, at least in his last fight, he turned up when it mattered. He turned up, and he believed in himself, despite not having, it's a bit like Dillian White, despite not having the best genetics, yeah, and the best base. Fury believed in himself, believed that he could outwork the athlete in Deontay Wilder, and got stuck in and got to it. Bottom line, that's a fact. So I have to rate that. Because I'm not being funny, in the last few fights, yeah, it's all well and good saying, oh, well, people are allowed to have one-off fights. But this isn't a case of one-off fights. Essentially, we're saying now, every single time AJ goes in there with someone half decent, we have to accept a loss. Is that what we're saying? He goes in there with Ruiz, half decent, loss. Goes in there with USYK, half decent, loss. It shouldn't have to be, every time you go in there with someone half decent, you have to lose to then come back. Even if he does come back, which I'm not sure he will at this point. In as much as, if they think they're going to outbox USYK, I can tell you now for free, I ain't betting on that at all. I wouldn't bet against him, but I ain't going to bet with it, that's for sure. No way. Now, if I hear, not even, you know what, even if, I'm not betting on this fight regardless. The next one, I ain't betting on it, full stop. Because, even if they say the right things, I ain't going to believe it until I see it. They've lost my trust gone now, no trust. Yeah? I warned you about Pulev. I said, listen, if you ain't walking Pulev down, we've got problems. All the super fruity AJ fans, YB, you can't walk everyone down. And Pulev was a stiff board who couldn't fight on the inside. If you can't walk him down, you've got problems with USYK. You've got problems with Fury. Anyone who disagrees, you ain't got a clue about boxing, and you're a fangirl. That's the bottom line, people. And now you're sorry. Now we're all sorry, because no one wanted to listen. Oh, no, YB. Yeah, I had some goofies in my comment section. Oh, YB, his IQ's improved massively. Well, not enough. Nowhere near enough. And again, this wasn't a case of not enough IQ. This was, by the looks of that, AJ would never have enough IQ. It wasn't even really close. Especially when you consider the gulf in size that USYK had to overcome. The fact that USYK not only overcame, for example, if USYK had just overcome the gulf in size and length, that would have been a draw, wouldn't it? But he didn't only just overcome the attributes, he pushed on and ended up winning arguably 9 rounds, 10 rounds. And then nearly stopped AJ. And this wasn't a case of Ruiz, by the way, meaning that the Ruiz fight, AJ, in my opinion, was clearly concussed or whatever. This was no, I'd never lie. Before this fight, yeah, when I saw AJ walk out, I thought, in fact, I even did. I think I even ended up putting more money on it for the KO. I ended up loading up more money onto the KO, thinking that, oh man, he looks calm and he's relaxed and he's definitely not concussed. I ended up loading more money on because I was that certain that you were going to get the KO. And what happens? So my point is, there ain't no excuses here, people. He was in the best shape ever. The best weight ever. Don't forget the Ruiz fight, he was overweight the first time. This fight was the perfect weight. Everything was perfect. Perfect calmness. No concussion. So there's no excuses here. This was the best AJ, arguably. And he went in there with a decent USYK. And we saw what happened. So yeah, Fury and Team Fury are getting off over AJ right now, and what can we say? I mean, I know Fury's got a hard fight coming up, in my opinion, against Wilder, but I mean, I think maybe this is what he needs. It's not going to hurt. AJ needs to feel something. Because you don't feel, I hate to say it to you, but I don't get the feeling he feels anything. He just seems happy-go-lucky, and I'm sure super AJ fans, oh, YB, that's the way he is, and yeah, but I'm not sure that's cut out for boxing. For top-level heavyweight boxing, I'm not sure that's what it is about. I'm not sure it works. Everyone's tried to convince me differently. Oh, no, yeah. But he's in there getting punched up by a cruiserweight, and there weren't no fire back. There weren't no fighter in him, as such. Oh, but YB, he's a boxer, and but no, staying in the ring and getting punched up don't make you a fighter. That means you signed a contract. That means you obliged your contractual obligation. Doesn't mean you're a fighter, though. A fighter has to fight back. And he wasn't in there with some Mike Tyson thing. He was in there with a man who he easily could have... Or he was in there with a man, yeah, who, in my opinion, he had... AJ, in my opinion, had the 80-20 advantage, if not higher. AJ had the 80-20 advantage at punching up. How can you have the 80-20 advantage at punching up and get punched up? For 12 rounds, essentially. Not once did AJ drop the hammer down. How can that be the case? Oh, I'm a boxer fighter. Well, you say you're a boxer fighter. When was the last time we saw AJ fighting? You can't say the Pulev fight, because guess what? Pulev weren't fighting back. That's not a fight. A fight is when someone fights back, people. Don't forget that. When Ruiz knocked him down, he didn't fight back. Yeah? And my dad, it's crazy. I had so much belief here. My dad had to tell me this. But it's true. My dad said, when have you seen AJ really fight back in the last few years? Yeah, I've used the examples, Dillian White fight and the Klitschko fight, but he said in the recent years, without Tony Sims, when has he fought back? Ruiz got put down, no fight back. Ruiz rematch, ran around, didn't want to fight at all. Pulev fight, he didn't even really want to get involved in a fight. He only started punching Pulev up when Pulev was shot and hurt. He didn't actually try and fight in that fight. Actually, in the Pulev fight, he actively avoided any confrontation. And now we've got the USYK fight, which at no point he really tried to fight. Every time he got touched, he backed out and let USYK know that he was the stronger man. Gave USYK confidence. Never once did he nip USYK in the bud. And I'm sorry, I got to call a spade here, people. You can't call yourself a boxer fighter, and every time you're in a half decent fight, you don't want to fight. That's not a fighter. And I have to give credit to Hatman as well, because he made a good point. When Fury was in there with Cunningham, now USYK is obviously better than Cunningham, but the point is, in terms of power, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Cunningham has less power than USYK. I think they're probably about the same, truth be known. But either way, when Fury got in there with Cunningham was too fast. Fury, what did he do? Elbows in, chin down, waded all over him, and dug him to the body, and just big manned him. I rate that. That implies fight. It's a bit like when Fury got put down. Fury got put down heavy. We've all laughed about it. I've laughed about it. I've made videos about it. When Wilder put down Fury, he went down heavy. What did he do though? He peeled himself off the canvas. He got up, and what did he do immediately after? Went to fighting. Yeah, beat Wilder up in that round. The best round was Fury's strongest round. And then what did Fury do? Even more importantly, after the fight was over, Fury realised Ben's got to go. And Fury made the key pivotal decision to move to the Kronk. Boom. Every single one of them stages, Fury's executing on decisions. Now, I'm not saying Fury's perfect. You might know me. I'm the first man to rinse Fury in other aspects of his life. Ducking fights and being weird and stuff like that. 100%. But like I've told you before, just because people are imperfect doesn't mean everything they do is imperfect. Fury is probably 90% BS, but the 10% he does well. AJ at the moment, he's been lucky enough never to have to peel himself off the canvas, but yet, if Fury can peel himself off the canvas, yeah, and get stuck in, why can't you get stuck in against USYK? It's a bit like the Cunningham fight. Fury, he doesn't have nowhere near the power and the ferociousness of combinations that you have, and the natural gifts you have. But if he can have a tear-up with Cunningham, why couldn't you have a tear-up with USYK? These are the questions we need to know. Why didn't you have no shame? And people say, oh, well, it's easy for you to say. What do you mean? It's easy for me to say when you're getting paid $40 million. I don't care. For me, personally, if you're getting paid $40 million, I don't want to hear about, it's easy for you to say. Because I swear to God, yeah, you man pay me $40 million and see if I don't go in there and have nothing to say. You let me go in there with someone 20 pounds lighter than me and see if I'm fanning around for 12 rounds. Just try it, run it. You man put $40 million up and see what I do. I'd feel embarrassed. I'd feel embarrassed getting paid $40 million and not putting the foot down once in 12 rounds against a man 20 pounds lighter than me. I'd feel shame. I'd feel shame. Especially when I have, and give me all the advantages, i.e. the height and the power and all the other stuff. Give me the 80-20 inside fighting as advantages. Give me all them things, 20 pounds heavier, and then see if I don't do nothing for 12 rounds. And get punched up. So yeah, Team Fury, they're getting off right now. And like I said, maybe this is what AJ needs. AJ needs to start feeling something, because at the moment he ain't feeling nothing. He's treating it like he's turned into Rob McCracken 2.0. Real even, real balanced. No, there's nothing inside. There's nothing in there that's burning. There's no raging fire. Cus Mike Tyson talked about how Cus had this. He had this. What was it? He talked about someone putting was it sticks on a flame, and you keep growing the flame until it's an enraging furnace. There ain't no enraging furnace. Rob McCracken ain't been building no fire in AJ. That's a fact. It's a fact. So right now, AJ must pull the trigger. Rob and the other two goofies, Fernando Alonso and the other Muppet, Job, whatever, goofy dude, all them man need to go. And even a few insiders have said his team's way too big. They all must go. The whole team must go and bring Shane in. He's the only one you need, in my opinion, at this point in time. I've heard other names. To be honest, from my point of view, I'll take anyone over McCracken right now. I'll take anyone, really. Because what we know is, in my opinion, we know Rob are going to mean a loss. That's a fact for me. I'll take anyone. At least anyone has got a better chance than Rob, in my opinion. Especially when Rob don't even commit himself 100%. Rob was only there for half of this camp. Oops. Who told you about that? Huh, me? Oh, YB, what are you talking about? It's good that Rob he has two jobs. It's good that Rob's only paying half his attention to AJ. What's wrong with you guys? You're dopies, 100%. This is what did Rob and AJ think this is? You can just, and that's my point. In fact, the way AJ and Rob perform, yeah, it's as if they believe you can just turn up, put half of your effort in, only be there half the time, turn up and just win. That's what they thought. That's what they thought. That's how they performed. Even in the corner, even in the last 4 rounds, Rob still believed, yeah, we got this. Light on your feet, stay behind the jab. He needed to be told. He needed someone in his corner at that point to tell him, AJ, we down 7 rounds. I would have told him, AJ, you're down 7 rounds. I swear to God. Because even if I believed at that point in time, yeah, it was 6-2 or 5-3, I still would have told him you're down 7 rounds. Because what's the point at that point? He needs to know it's dire. It's no good telling him, well, it's 4-4. What's the point telling him that? Tell him, we're down 7-1 against the cruiserweight. It's up to you, boss. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be seen as? Oh, no, not Rob. Brilliant, AJ. Stay behind the jab. In the last round, yeah, going into the last round, Rob was telling AJ, don't engage. Almost implying that USYK had to come for the KO. Whoa! And it explains, like I said before, did a video on, explains why AJ was so shocked. AJ screwed his face up when the points was announced. When the decision was announced. He thought he won. It's a bit like, it makes me laugh though. Tunde Ajayi is an idiot, yeah? He gets rinsed though. Everyone rinses Anthony Yard's trainer for being rubbish. And rightfully so, but makes me laugh that for some reason Rob McCracken gets called the gaffer. Rob McCracken gets called Alex Ferguson, but Tunde Ajayi, who's just as bad. And to be honest, I'm not even sure that's fair, to be fair. Because we just said that Tunde Ajayi is just as bad, but is he just as bad? What do we know? At least Anthony Yard, when Anthony Yard was in there with the guy, when he got outboxed, at least Anthony Yard, when he went in there with Kovalev, had a fight and emptied the tank. So at least, you know what I'm saying, at least Tunde Ajayi gave his fighter a chance. Yeah, he lost, yeah, but guess what? He gave it his all. Anthony Yard emptied the tank against Kovalev. Where did AJ empty the tank against USYK? So I respect Anthony Yard and Tunde Ajayi. I think Tunde Ajayi is better than Rob McCracken. At least they tried. I can't knock. Yeah, we can sit there and nitpick at the tactics and the strategy, but at least no one can say Yard didn't try. No one can say, yeah, I didn't leave it all out there. But yet all the pundits want to sit there and rant. Even Tony Bellend and Carl Froch ranting and raving about, oh, don't worry. It's great to know that at least he's got Rob in the corner. Wow. But yet they'll get off on Tunde Ajayi. And again, even with the other fight he had against not Kovalev, the one after that, when he fought got the guy's name now. But either way, he lost a 12-round decision against this other dude. Even in that fight, in the last round, Yard showed when he got on the inside and went to work, he was night and day. But at least he had that ability for that round. AJ didn't even give us one round. Rob didn't even demand one round from AJ. So, you know what? You've seen the post there from Fury. Fury rock hard, and I wish Fury someone needs to get something out of this AJ team. Someone needs to say something. Because my words are rightfully so, have fallen on deaf ears. Someone, the worrying thing is for me, no one close to AJ really got it like that. No one's saying nothing really. They're all don't want to rock the boat. I haven't had one person really airing Rob McCrappen out. All I've seen is fans saying it. Why is it fans and YouTubers know more than all of these so-called boxing insider muppets? Why is that? I don't get what's going on. How can everyone see it blatantly? But yet all the insiders, everyone who has access, oh, no, it's great to know that Rob will come out with a great strategy next time. Why does it have to be, why is it always, it has to be the next time? The Ruiz fight had to be the next time. And even then it was a crap strategy. No one didn't want to see that. No one didn't want to see this. No one didn't want to see the Mike Tyson 2.0 going boxing around and trying to be a ballerina. No one didn't want to see that. Don't get me wrong. AJ superfans convince themselves they want to see that, but no real fan want to see that. This fight, lose again. What is this? Oh, we have to lose to get it right, or we have to lose to come up with a strategy. Why can't you put your best foot forward the first time? That's what everyone else does. USYK didn't have to lose to get it right. So Fury, stay on, as far as it comes to this, you need to be doing more, in my opinion. Someone needs to come out publicly and go off and yeah. But I don't know what to say, people, anymore.